Hello and welcome back to another video on the Wrestling Debate and to another edition of Smackdown Out of 10, and it's a very big show today because of course it is the go home show ahead of Money in the Bank. So yeah, we've got the last chance qualifier for the men's Money in the Bank. I think all of the participants in the men's and the women's Money in the Bank are going to be on the show, so it's a big one, and let's get straight into it. And the men's Money in the Bank ladder match contestants kicked off SmackDown on top of the ladders. Riddle, Sami Zayn, Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus argued about who will win and when they all plan to cash in on Roman, except for the master strategist. MVP was hyping Omos from the ring, and The Miz made his entrance before saying that he deserved to be in the match. Ezekiel, Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin also wants to be part. Adam Pearce books a good old-fashioned battle royal to settle the differences between the stars, and that was underway. The battle royal kicked off during break, and when we returned, Omos eliminated Ezekiel and Madcap, followed by The Miz. Drew McIntyre faced off with a giant, but was sent down with a headbutt. Sami was taken down before Rollins eliminated himself in fear of Omos. Riddle came out of the ring and hit an RKO on Seth before eliminating Omos with an armbar on the apron. After a break, Sami, Drew, Corbin, Riddle and Sheamus were still in the match, and Corbin got a big choke slam on Riddle. Riddle hit the Irishman with a bro to sleep and a running senton. Riddle was then hit with a draping DDT on Sheamus, but his RKO was blocked as the Celtic Warrior eliminated him with a kick. Sheamus connected the bro kick on Drew before receiving a huge shock DDT. Sami took the Claymore and was eliminated. Corbin sneaked back into the ring and eliminated Sheamus and McIntyre, claiming the win. And yeah, this gets a 5 out of 10 from me, because I mean, at this point we thought Corbin would be in the Money in the Bank, but it didn't turn out that way, and it just seemed like very weird random booking, so it has to get a 5 out of 10 from me. Corbin and Natty then showed up in a backstage interview. While the former initially was overjoyed, he was speechless when he was asked about Pat McAfee's challenge. On the other hand, the Queen of Hearts was determined to win the SmackDown Women's Championship from Rousey tomorrow. The New Day was out next on SmackDown. They were dedicated to entertaining the WWE Universe, but last week the Viking Raiders ruined their fun segment with champion. No improved Viking Raiders came out and slapped the mics out of Wood's hands before destroying him and Kofi in the ring. I thought we were going to get a match, but no well. Due to Kevin Owens' injury backstage, Adam Pearce granted Corbin, Moss, The Miz and Ezekiel one last shot at joining in the Money in the Bank ladder match. The four men were competing in a fatal four-way match to secure their place. Corbin literally just won a match. Why isn't he in the freaking thing? Honestly, this show. And then we got Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Oscar and Shotzi kicked off the match with Becky Lynch on commentary. Lacey Evans tagged in, followed by Raquel as they isolated the Empress. Oscar eventually managed to make the tag to Bliss, who took some shots from Raquel and tagged in Liv shortly after. Lacey and Shotzi got into a fight and Raw took them both out with a dive. Alexa and Oscar then took out Raquel at ringside before we headed for a break. Back on SmackDown, Alexa hit some big shots on Raquel before Shotzi came in and took control of the match. Oscar was back in and got the ankle lock on Shotzi before all six women rushed to the ring and hit their finishes on one another. Shotzi was the last one in the ring. Liv came in from behind and pinned her following the Oblivion. And yeah, this just made no sense really. It's Team Raw v Team SmackDown. They were at each other's throats on the weekly, on a Monday and a Friday, and suddenly they're all teaming together. Yeah, it just wasn't a believer. And after the match, Becky rushed the ring and hit the manhandle slam on Oscar and left. Backstage, Sonya mentioned that she filed a formal complaint about Adam Pearce and him for booing her in a handicap match last week. The Usos were next. They were followed by the Street Profits for an Ask Them Anything segment. The Usos said they were not even worried about losing their title, while Profits claimed that their Bloodline's time was about to end. The two teams switched their promos around, and the Usos imitated Profits and vice versa before SmackDown continued. Then Max Dupree was up next to introduce his modelling agency, and his first model was Mace, but you know his name as May Say. Mansoor was also out, and he was renamed Mansoor. So yeah, good. I mean, I don't know where it's going to go, but if it gives them something to do, it can't be too bad, I suppose. But yeah, I just guess we'll have to see where it goes. But at the moment, I'm not convinced, I have to say. Before the main event, Megan Moran had a brief interview with Ronda Rousey where the latter claimed she would make Natalya tap out at Money in the Bank, I think, right? And then we got The Miz versus Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss versus Ezekiel. Wouldn't get some Money in the Bank, even though Corbin already won it. But anyway, Ezekiel took control of the match early after Corbin and Miz were sent outside. Moss and Ezekiel outside before the heel stars ganged up on him in the ring. A brawl started outside before Corbin dropped The Miz on the apron and chokeslammed Ezekiel on the announcer. So after a break, Corbin got the deep six on The Miz for a near fall before Ezekiel got some big splashes and a spine buster on Moss. The Miz hit a skull crushing finale, but Corbin broke the pin and hit the end of days on Elias's young brother. However, Moss came in and sent Corbin out before covering Ezekiel to pick up the win. And yeah, I mean, this just made zero sense. What was the point of that battle royal earlier? Why was Corbin even included? Only for him not to get the Money in the Bank. Just absolutely crazy booking. 4 out of 10. And overall this week, SmackDown gets a 4 out of 10. I mean, yeah, just throughout the show, it was just really baffling. And definitely not the go home show we needed. Yeah, this was just really, really bad show. I don't know what's happened to SmackDown recently, but it has gone downhill a bit. I think ever since Roman Reigns hasn't been such a regular, and this is kind of the week where it really peaked, because for me this was the worst SmackDown in a long time for sure. But anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and follow to the thing description for daily wrestling news. Subscribe to the channel, screen, and that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.